question that I have for you is, what is the slowest thing in the world? I'm just going to take two answers. Anybody? Yeah. Snail or a rock? I have a better answer. And I remember this, and I know this for a fact. The slowest thing in the world is the big hand on the clock when you're within 1/2 hour of recess. That is the slowest thing in the world. And I remember, I used to sit and watch that clock. School ended at 4:15. I'd start from 3:30. Didn't move. Did not move. I'd sit and watch it and watch it. Garnished, slower than a snail, slower than a rock, slower than a car in Florida. Very slow. Okay. But anyway, now that you know what I was trying to say, it was a long introduction, but I think that you understand it. So feel free to look at the clock while I'm talking. It won't bother me because I do the same thing. As a matter of fact, if you want to look at the clock the whole time, you can do that too. Although I wouldn't do it because it's just going to make it move slower. Oh my gosh. All right. What time are we going until? 9 o'clock. 3 o'clock, so we have 25 minutes. That's not so bad. I'm doing good, huh? Keep going with the stories. You're doing good. By the way, that happens to be, sometimes, you guys remember when you were kids? What is this, 8th grade? This is 8th grade? Yeah. You guys remember when you were kids? There are some stories that you read when you're kids. I mean, when you're a kid, you read 1,000,000 stories. Somehow, some stories, 10, 15 stories, just stay in your head forever. I haven't read that story, The Birth of Vienna, probably in 25 years. But I never forget it. It's like one of those stories that you just can't forget. Anyway, like Mendy and the Golden. Very simple. Anybody here ever read the old Mendy and the Golden? Yes, you guys have it? Yeah. Very, very touching. Very deep. I've read it 100 times. All right. So what do you want to talk about? Stories. A long story, 25-minute story? All right. I'll tell you a scary story.
Nightmares. Turn off the lights.
No, we all fall asleep. All right. Here's a story. The story is called Cheder Menachem. Very scary story. You heard it already? I want to ask you a question. You guys know that at the end of Kaddish we say, I want to know if anybody here has an opinion on what the word Oiseh Shalom B'Reimov means. Anybody? Not the Taich. I know that you know the Taich. Oiseh Shalom B'Reimov means that the Eibishter who makes peace in heaven, Yaseh Shalom Aleinu should make peace on us. But what does it mean that the Eibishter makes peace in heaven? Nachlik is exactly in heaven that he has to come and make peace. I don't even think there is recess in heaven. Why should he have to? That's when all the fights happen. Thank you. This guy is my official first #1 fan. Whenever he senses I made a joke, he'll laugh. So if you want to know when to laugh, just follow it. Why does David have to make peace in heaven? Anybody? Oiseh Shalom B'Reimov means you, Eibishter, makes peace in heaven, in B'Reimov, in your high places in heaven. Who Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, you should make peace on us. Make peace for us. What does it mean that the Eibishter makes peace in heaven? Yo, Rebbe Lipsker.
Like you go to the bad, like if someone goes up, like there's a good side and a bad side. Between
the Malachim that are prosecuting and the Malachim that are defending? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, in general, I guess that would be true. The Rebbe has to make peace between them, because one of them wants to prosecute, one of them wants to defend. What do you say? They're fighting with each other? You know, you guys ever hear of Avram Fried? Very good singer. The second best singer in the world. Come on.
Danny, of course.
Avram Fried, second best Jewish singer in the world, has a song called Nishkedayit. Right? Don't follow this guy. He doesn't know when I'm making a joke. That was not a joke. He has a song called Nishkedayit. He has a dream where he sees the world, Shliach came. And he says, in Yerushalayim bin ich gekommen. No. Beis HaMikdash bin ich gewesen. Kohanim bin makriv karbonos, Levim singen Shir HaMales, die Sanhedrin sitzt und hört den Torah. I always thought it was very funny. Mashiach just came. And the Beis HaMikdash is already rolling, Karbonos is already being brought, and the Sanhedrin is already hearing it in Torah. Apparently not much changes after Mashiach comes. Somebody's going to say, oh, Mashiach is here, I have a guy, I need to bring him to the Torah right now. Right? I've been waiting the whole Golus. Take this guy to the Sanhedrin. So that's what happened to come up to heaven, and they're having a machlekes. They want to Shomayla to work out the real estate disputes. Anyway, Rebbe Lipsker is generally correct. Because when in the 10 makkahs did Rebbe to make peace, where in the 10 makkahs did Hashem make peace between two malachim? Thank you. Bottom. The guys with the cheapest seats. The guy's giving the answers.
Cheap seats.
In Barad, they wish to make peace between the angel of fire and the angel of water. They should work together. The reason why the Rebbe has to make peace is because malachim are very chassidish. Because they're very chassidish. Because malachim are very chassidish. Whatever job the Rebbe gives them, they do it to an extreme. And they cannot imagine that there exists any other job in the world. So if the Rebbe tells one malach to be the malach of kindness, that malach believes that the only thing the Rebbe wants is kindness. Because malachim are extreme. Any other malach comes along and says, hey, Michol, malach of chesed, I am Gabriel, the malach of gevura, the malach of punishment. Nice to meet you. The malach, Michol of chesed, won't even understand what he's saying. What's gevura? What is punishment? Who ever heard of such a thing? Chesed! Eibishter wants kindness, he doesn't want any punishment. And Gabriel will say to him, kindness? Punishment is the greatest kindness. Eibishter wants gevura, justice. He just lost your job. Don't follow him. The malachim are extremely devoted to the Eibishter to the point that they can't understand anybody else who has a different job from the Eibishter. So no matter how much you try to convince them, they'll never believe you that the Eibishter gave you a job which is different than the job the Eibishter gave you. And that's why with the malach of fire cannot work together with the malach of water, and if they ever come together, one of them has to die. Either the water has to get dissipated by the fire, or the fire has to get extinguished by the water. They cannot work with each other. It's like chesed and gevura. Fire or water. It's Michal and Gabriel. They can't work together with each other. They're opposites. And they're really opposites, and they're opposites l'shem shamayim. The only way they ever work together is if the Eibishter commands them to work together. And when Hashem commands them to work together, then they have to work together. And that's called the Eibishter making peace in heaven. Oiseh shalom b'mreimot. And the Eibishter makes peace between his malachim. Because the malachim, they don't understand each other. Because I have the job of chesed, how could you have the job of gevura? People human beings who are not so extreme. We're a mix of everything. We have chesed, gevura, tiferes, kindness, and justice, and punishment, and we understand everything. But malachim are pure chesed, pure gevura. So this is the reason why the talmidim of Rabbi Akiva during the time of the Omer, it's not a shot that they were putting tacks on each other's chairs or whoopee cushions. Doesn't mean that they were rude to each other. It just means that they couldn't accept, because of their devotion to Rabbi Akiva, because of their devotion to their Rebbe, they couldn't accept that somebody else is going to serve their Rebbe's desires, going to serve the Eibishter in a way different than their own. So, for example, a Yankees fan. It's a perfect example. It's not the pshat a Yankees fan understands that you're not a Yankees fan. He doesn't understand. He can't understand the musik that anybody could possibly not like the Yankees. It's not, no, it doesn't mean that he says, okay, I understand that I'm a Yankees fan, but there's other people, for example, Boston fans. No. He doesn't understand it. But that's because Yankees fans are not exactly normal. Guys, if you love Yiddishkeit, if you're interested in your identity as a Jew, if you're proud of your identity as a Jew, hey, pay attention. If you're proud of your identity as a Lubavitcher, if you're proud of anything, whatever you love, whatever it is that you love, you have to be very careful to make sure that your love for it doesn't cause you to disrespect people that don't love it as much as you do. Or don't love it as much as you do. Or don't love it in the same way that you do. So, for example, Rabbi Brisky here has to understand that deep down everybody's a Yankees fan. We just have to have patience for people and believe that eventually everybody will come to that level. But in this ain't hamashal daimel and imshal, because really not everybody is ever going to be a Yankees fan. Really, all Yankees fans eventually will see the truth. But Lubavitchers, but let's not go global. In 8th grade, if you like a certain subject, or if you like a certain sport, or if you like a certain part of school, or a certain part of life, and somebody else doesn't like it, that doesn't make him your enemy. Just like Michal and Gabriel, the Eibishter convinces them that they're not enemies, even though they have completely exclusive and opposite jobs. So one kid loves Tanya, the other kid loves football. They could be the best chavedim in the world. In the world. One kid loves to learn. The other kid loves to do mitzvayim. And the kid who loves to learn can't stand mitzvayim. He's embarrassed. And the kid who loves to do mitzvayim can't stand learning. He has no zitzvah. They could be these two malachim that are both doing the right thing, but doing different right things, or doing the right thing in different ways. They could be the best friends. But let's get just a little bit more personal while I still have your attention. Let's say you have a friend who is not as humble as you.
Like me.
Let's say you have a friend who deep in your heart, all the time it bothers you, he's such a big shot. Which in 8th grade is usually the biggest time that people have to each other. He's a big shot, you're a big shot, I'm a big shot. He finds me funny, huh? I'm flattered by it. What's your name, by the way? Abba what? Abba Zayis. So if you have friends that are not following in the derech that you think is the correct derech for a human being, let alone a Babcha, Chassid, Jew, whatever, and you think to yourself, now I have permission. Hey, cheap seats. You don't have to look. It's like now I have permission, because he's about Gaiva, now I have permission not to like him. There's a problem with that arrangement, with that thought process. And the problem is that the Torah says that you have to means that you have to love every Jew. Now, who here speaks Hebrew? Ivrit? Anybody here speak Ivrit?
Yeah.
You do?
He does.
Okay, wait a second. We have somebody over here.
People that don't.
What's your name? Ariel?
And
Ariel, how do you say in Hebrew, I love, I love? Huh? How do you say in Hebrew, I like? Ani ohev. Even when people nowadays, it became this thing, people say, oh, like. No, I'm not going to say, but like, whatever. Hebrew, there's no word for like. There's no word for it. So they, you know what they call it? Like. Like Echomim Banglit cornflakes. They just say like. Like is how you say like is how you say like in Hebrew. Because there is no word for like. So for example, you say about your brother, Ani ohev. Perfect. Hummus and your mother are the same. You say Ani ohev ima, Ani ohev hummus, same sentence. And yet, no one would ever think that you love hummus as much as you love your mother. I hope. Not hummus. So when the Torah says, what does it mean in English? So everybody says you have to love your fellow Jew. No, let's take that. Let's throw that out. You don't have to love anybody. You have to like your fellow Jew. Much, much harder. Because everybody here loves their fellow Jews. But everybody here has fellow Jew they don't like. Even though they love them. But they don't like them. Is that not true? Is that true or what?
I don't like it.
Definitely true. So, it's not that simple that you could say like the Akiva students, I love him, but I don't like him. Or I love him, but I don't respect him. You have to means you have to like people. You have to like your fellow Jews. The same way you like, the same way he likes hummus. Mamish to like. So that's why no matter what excuse you're going to come up with, you're never going to have an excuse to decide that you're comfortable not liking something. You may not like a certain midah, you may not like a certain attribute or personality characteristic, but then you have to like it. Not like certain Jews who say that v'ahavta v'reyacha kamoicha means you have to love almost every Jew in the world. You ever hear a passionate statement like this? You have to love almost every Jew in the world. It's such a small little word, you can almost miss it. But the Torah doesn't say v'ahavta l'roiv v'reyacha. It's everybody. So the fact that you get along with the little kids, right? Or the fact that you get along with the kids that are the same as you. I mean, this is a marvelous machine song. I don't have to tell you this. What I'm trying to tell you is that malachim, who should be given a break, because the Eibishter made them extreme. The Eibishter created them in a way that the Malach of Chesed only understands Chesed. And yet, even then, the Eibishter expects them to make peace between each other. So, when you hear that, you find out that there is no excuses, there is no exceptions to the rule. If the malachim have to get along with each other, and the malachim are extremists, then we, who are not extremists, we are certainly expected to get along, and not just get along with almost every Jew. To get along with every Jew. And in the Alter Rebbe's days, the Baal Shem Tov said, you have to love every Jew, even the Jews who you never met. And now we have to remember that you have to get along and love every Jew, even the Jews who you have met. Because to love a Jew who you never met is very easy. I love all Jews in the world, just not the ones that I know. Because when you get to know him, means you have to love every Jew, including the ones that you see every single day, including the ones whose personality is so different from yours that it's literally like fire and water. And if we need help, remember that the Eibishter can do it. He can help you. He can make peace between Gabriel and Michal. He can definitely make peace between you and Yaakov Tadris or whoever it is that's getting abused. Anybody have any questions on what we spoke about? Yes? Like. That's what I mean. I mean that somehow or another you have to convince yourself to like something about everybody. Yeah. You're not giving up, are you? Hold on a second. Yeah.
I thought you said you were going to see a scary story.
Was that not scary?
No. I was pretty scared.
That was pretty scary.
Like twice.
Let me tell you a story. One time, that hand is moving pretty fast, by the way.
Oh, come on.
So you didn't want to look? One time a guy came to Shammai and said, I want to become a Jew. On condition you teach me the whole Torah on one foot. And Shammai said to him, you're making a mockery, change the mouth. So he went to Hillel, and he said to Hillel, I want you to teach me the whole Torah while I stand on one foot, then I'm going to convert to become Jewish. So Hillel said, whatever is hateful to you, don't do to others. That's the whole Yiddishkeit. Now go and learn. Now here's the question. Doesn't every 8th grader know that when a person comes and says, I want to become Jewish, what's the first thing you do? Huh? You say no. The first thing you do when a person wants to convert, the first thing you do is you try to discourage them. Why? To make sure they're sincere. If you say to them, you want to become Jewish, you know how many mitzvahs there are, you know how much persecution we've gone through, and the person says, oh, okay, and leaves, that's good. Because if he would have converted, then he would find out all the hard things about Yiddishkeit, then he would just be a Jew who's not keeping the mitzvahs. Why do you don't want this? So you have to make it very clear from the beginning, you don't want this. 613 mitzvahs, you can't eat McDonald's, you have all these big problems, and if the person still wants to convert, then you know they're sincere. So Shammai did the right thing. A guy wants to convert, Shammai says to him, go away. But what's the pshat with Hillel? He comes to Hillel, he says, wants to convert, and Hillel says to him, no problem. You have an answer?
Yeah, because once they will be after the you're pretty much able to do all
fantastic. Exactly. Hillel did try to discourage him. Hillel told him, you could do the whole Torah, but if you're not nice to your fellow Jew, you're missing Kol HaTorah Kula. That's the point. That is the hardest mitzvah in the whole Torah. And that's what Hillel was saying to him. You want to become Jewish? You know what the foundation of the whole Yiddishkeit is? It's very, very hard. But yet, even though it's very hard, you can still do it, and we still have to do it. What's the question, Rabbi?
Oh, yeah. So,
of course. You have to like a Jew, even if he's evil, even if he's in jail and done terrible stuff. You don't have to love the terrible stuff that he did, but you have to find a way to like him. And if nobody in the world will ever find a way to like him, then there's no way he will ever do tshuva. And by the way, when you disrespect your parents, that's a bigger aveda than a lot of the things that people who are in jail. except that we don't go to jail for it. So you have to realize that when our parents keep liking us, even after we do things that are terrible, it gives us the power to continue to like fellow Jews who do things that are, in our opinion, very terrible. To continue to like the good in them, like it says in Tanya and Be'eklamadeis, that you like the good in them and you hate the bad in them. That's not the Any last questions before the hand is low? Yes. I don't think so. It'll be a very short story. Yes. A joke? Finish with a joke. But only on condition that you take seriously everything we spoke about till now. Now the joke is that one time there was a rabbi who wanted to go across the whole country in the olden days, but he missed his boat. So he needed to get a ride with a cowboy. So he got on a ride with a cowboy. I'm not talking football, I'm talking about a real cowboy. So he got on his coach. The cowboy said, I'll help you, but you have to hold a gun and shoot the Indian who comes to kill us. So the rabbi gets on the wagon, takes the gun, and he says, okay, they're driving, and he says, I see an Indian. So the cowboy says, how big is he? How far away is he? I don't know how far away he is. He says, how big is he? He says, right now from where we are, he looks like this big. He said, it's too far. Don't shoot, you'll miss him. It's a true story. Then a few minutes later, he says, he's closer. He says, how big is he? He says, now he's like this big. He says, too far. He comes closer, closer. Finally, the rabbi says, he's this big. He says, shoot him. He doesn't shoot him. The rabbi says, I can't. He says, shoot him quickly. He's going to kill us. He says, I can't. Finally, the cowboy takes a gun and he shoots him. And then he says to the rabbi, why didn't you shoot him? He says, how could I shoot him? I know him since he's this big. You have to look at your fellow Jews and feel like you know them since they're this big. You cannot shoot them. You can't be not nice to them. You can't say harsh words to them. You can't be mean to them. You love your fellow Jew. That is the Chabad.